Good day and welcome to an historic episode of Two Mics with Two Mics. I'm Pastor Mike and I have a microphone.
And I'm Pastor Michael, finding it hard to keep in my laughter. It's been quite a day already, but I also have a mic. If you didn't notice that, it's right in front of my face, obstructing my mobility to talk with my hands and my face moving around. It's great. But welcome back.
So what are we up to today?
What are we up to today? Well, last time we spoke, we talked about some of our church horror stories, what we're calling them. I know that my accent, for whatever reason, becomes a Bostonian, so it's horror. How do you say it?
Horror.
He didn't say
Church
horror.
Horror stories.
Horror.
Not church horror stories.
We probably have some of those too, but we're not doing that today. Sorry to disappoint you.
That'll be on Valentine's Day.
Oh, Lord, help us. We talked about our personal ones last week, but this week we decided we wanted to do something a little bit different. So our producer, in front of us, we have several pieces of information. We have not been previewed to this information. This is other churches' stories that they didn't want really released, or their own church horror stories that happened in 2024. Or even, I think, up recently too, right? I believe. So we're going to read these.
It's not even been a month of 2025, so yeah, it's pretty recent.
Well, even still, a lot can happen in a month.
Yes, it can.
So we are going to read some of these, and we're gonna discuss them because it's always fun to hear about other people's problems, as you know. And when you hear about them as a minister, I don't know, somewhere between pity and glad it's not me.
Right.
So,
Like, thank God it's not happening in our church.
correct. So you're gonna kick it. You get the first one. I want to hear. I want to listen. I want to learn.
Oh, I want you to interject.
Let's find out.
First one is upside down. Woo! Pastor Robert Morse steps down from Gateway Church after allegations of child sexual assault. At the time, she was 12. He was 21. That was about 35 plus years ago. Thousands leave the various church locations.
Now, this one, if I'm remembering correctly, is one that you actually are well versed in.
I am well versed in this because I was closely following it because it really upset me.
Okay, so let's start with this because we know our viewers don't necessarily know who's Robert Morris.
Robert Morse is the founding and senior, or was the founding and senior pastor of Gateway Church in Dallas, Texas.
How many members?
Oh,
give or take.
My goodness, with all of their affiliates and everything.
They have a lot of branches, right?
Close to 100,000 members.
100,000 members. That's just across the world or America?
Yes.
All right. Continue.
Yes. And so it came out last summer, while I believe he was on vacation, a woman who had come out in the early 2000s, Cindy, I can't think of her last name, she'd come out in the early 2000s with these allegations that when she was 12 years old and he was 21 and married and had a son, and he was friends with her parents, that from time to time he would stay at their house. He was not a pastor at that time. He was more of an evangelist.
What's an evangelist for people who don't know?
Evangelist is someone who typically goes from church to church, bringing revival to churches, and also goes outside of the church to hold campaigns,
So
kind of like
traveling
Billy Graham,
preacher kind of
like
thing.
Billy Graham did.
Okay.
That's an evangelist. And so evidently, the way the story goes, and I'm just telling you what was said. I don't know where they are at legally on this. I do know that he is no longer at his church, and I do know some of the board members who supposedly knew about this and even knew how old she was at the time, that they have resigned. But the story goes that while he was staying there, he began an inappropriate sexual relationship with Cindy when she was 12 years old. I don't believe there was full-blown
Intercourse. Call it what it
intercourse,
is. Call it what it is.
but
I
there
mean,
was
it's bad.
petting or whatever, and it all began with him asking her. This is her testimony, with him asking her, Cindy, come see me later at my room. I have no clue where his wife and son was at the time. But anyway, that inappropriate relationship went on periodically over a time period of 4.5 years.
So basically from 12 to 16 and a half or so.
Yeah. When she was like 16, she told a friend about it. And her friend said, you need to tell your dad. She went and told her dad, who, instead of calling the police, confronted Morris. And because the dad was in a authoritative position, I think he was a pastor and Morris was under him in some capacity, he told him, you're going to go through 2 years of restoration, spiritual restoration or whatever. And so it was pretty much swept under the rug. Cindy tried to bring this out, and she did bring it out in the early 2000s, but it was downplayed by Gateway Church and stuff. And actually, she was threatened to be sued.
See, this here. Let me just pause right here. This is the kind of stuff, again, we don't know what you believe. We know that there's a whole different array of people who have all different kinds of faith or no faith at all watching this. But this is the kind of stuff that really grinds my gears, and it really makes Pastor and I mad, because really you have someone who's supposed to be a safe place for people, a defender of the weak. I mean, when you are a pastor, when you're a man of God, you're supposed to defend kids. You're supposed to actually keep those who are pedophiles in nature. You're supposed to beat them away with a stick, sometimes literally, away from the kids. And this gives a reason for people to point and go, this is why I'm not a Christian, because here you have this man of 100,000, close to 100,000 member church or, association or affiliation. And here's what they did. So why would I follow Jesus Christ when this is how they're acting? And so it drives us crazy.
All right. And you might be saying out there, well, how could this be kept secret for so long? Well, it wasn't. Pastor Morris would, from time to time, talk about, and this is how he would word it, and you can check all of this if you want to. Personally, I wouldn't waste my time, but we are wasting my time now, so here we go. That he would just say, hey, yeah, when I was in my early 20s, I was involved in an inappropriate, no, he said early in life, I was involved in an inappropriate sexual relationship with a young lady.
As opposed to that 10-year age gap of being a kid.
A 12-year-old girl. And so evidently, supposedly, nobody on his board, on his staff, when he said I was involved in my early years with an inappropriate sexual relationship with a young lady, and I went through 2 years of church discipline, supposedly no one asked him how old was this young lady.
And here's the thing. Every individual in the church, the board members, if they had, I'll put it to you this respect, if they had put the Bible above what they thought of their pastor, this guy Robert Morris, if they had said, hey, this is wrong, you should not be in ministry. You shouldn't be in authority above people because this is dangerous. They didn't stand up for that. And it might be because they were scared. It could be because they idolized this guy. I don't know. But that's one of the things where with Christians, you shouldn't compromise. So yeah, this is pretty bad.
And there's a lot more to it than that.
That's
and
okay.
Like we said earlier, he's not in ministry anymore, and people have their different opinions about it because, it was pretty much swept under the rug. It was pretty much given false, inaccurate information, let's put it that way. So, and why people didn't take her serious in the beginning, in the early 2000s, I don't know, but she brought it up again just last year, and of course it was taken way serious, and so that was one of them. That's one of church horror story. Thank God, as far as I know, we don't have that happening here, and it wasn't a continued thing. I mean, after she was 16 and it came out, and it was done. Has been, as far as I know, no other women from for the last 35 years have come out and said, yeah, he had an inappropriate relationship with me also.
Yet.
It's been almost 9 months, so we'll see.
It's hard to say. You know how these things go. They just, some people, it's a domino effect.
Okay, what do you have?
Ooh. This one, as you know, we're Christian pastors, non-denominational, Pentecostal, whatever you want to say it.
Jew, Gentile.
This one is about the Catholic Church.
Uh-oh.
Yes. The Archdiocese of Los Angeles pays out $880 million to over 1,000 sexual abuse victims dating back to the 1950s. Along with another payout to sexual abuse victims, this brings the total payout from the Archdiocese of Los Angeles alone to $1.5 billion.
Okay, paid out
Like
to the
settlement.
victims that were abused by
By obviously those in the Catholic Church. And if we're going to just, here.
priests.
Well, let's just think for a second. Okay. Usually that's what it is. Usually. Okay, okay. We don't know anybody's faith here, but we know that classically the Catholic Church has not allowed priests to marry. But it doesn't clarify enough regarding their sexual desire and basically their duties, that pedophilia is exempt in some way. Which, you can read the Bible and get that, but we know that a lot of Catholics don't read the Bible. They read, Catholic Catechism, letters of the Church Fathers and things of that nature. I'm not saying this about every Catholic, because there are some Catholics that we know that love Jesus and love the Bible. I know one personally. Hello, Max. Thank you. But we know that recently, and I didn't know if you knew this, I found this out through my Catholic buddy, they are saying that priests can marry, which I don't know why they're saying that now. But I know that kind of determines if you're Roman Catholic, if you're this kind of Catholic. But generally, that's becoming more of a common practice, is allowing priests to marry as opposed to staying celibate, which we all know from that payout, they're not really being celibate.
Altar boys.
Exactly right. So, and then what was the other time? It was 2011. There was a whistleblower talking about how they were shipping, and I think I've discussed it on here. They were shipping when there would be like sexual accusations brought against a priest, let's say in Boston, then the diocese would actually take that priest and they'd ship him off, let's say, to like Missouri. Like, hey, you're going to go to Missouri, and they'd pay that family. And they were doing that for such a long time.
Secret payoffs.
Yeah, and out of court settlements. Like, hey, be quiet.
Right.
And we'll give you some money. And that, there was a whistleblower, and it came out in 2011. I'm pretty sure there was somebody who played the Hulk, Mark Ruffalo. He was an actor in the movie that talked about that. It was like Spotlight or something in 2011,
really?
Something like that. Yeah. But yeah, $880 million from Los Angeles, and then what was it? 1.2, something ridiculous. Yeah, 1.5. The total that the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. That is just disturbing. Just disturbing. And I know that there are Catholics out there that feel the same way that we do. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like that's a bad representation of the Catholic faith. I know there's some that basically feel the same way.
It's not good.
No, it's not. Go ahead. You're next, my friend.
Okay, here we go. And the winner is this is attacks on churches, church buildings, increased 800% since 2018.
What?
Most attacks being vandalism and arson. And I'll show you the graph if my producer wants
tax.
Yeah, what do you think I said?
Tax. Did you hear tax? I heard tax.
A-T-T.
I'm like, a tax? They're tax exempt.
We should be.
I swear.
We should be attack exempt.
I have some pretty big ears, my friend.
Man,
tax.
you do. Max, it's hot in here.
Okay.
All right. Attacks of violence.
Let's read it again. Read it again. I'm going to absorb this differently
attacks.
now. Yeah, see? You hear it now. Gosh.
ATTACKS on churches.
RESPECT. Go ahead.
Increased 800% since 2018.
Numbers weren't in question.
Okay. Most attacks.
You sound like you're from Asia. Most attacks.
Most attacks are being a vandalism and arson.
Vandalism and arson. Okay. I'm jiving now. So 800% up from when? 2018?
2018, yeah.
2018.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, okay.
Well, no, Antifa and them was 2020.
I was going to say 2020, yeah.
Yeah.
Like we had threats in 2020. We attended a dinner with Charlie Kirk here in Lincoln. He was coming for, what was it? What was that? It was like the GOP or something, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was always political.
Yeah, it was something like that. And we had, it was like
we were
10
over
people.
At 70th and A Street.
Well, we were over in Lincoln somewhere. It was a building.
70th and A Street.
Yeah, if you ever want to know.
And some protesters come out.
I'm going to say under 10 of them. And they did vandalize. It was just like a event venue. That's all it was.
Did
It wasn't
they
a church.
vandalize the buildings
Yeah.
where the event was in?
Yeah. They like wrote like they spray painted Nazi or something like that on the wall. Like somehow this establishment that was rented for their services agrees with everything that Charlie Kirk does. And somehow it was just the dumbest thing in the world. But and that was in, I believe, 2021.
2021.
So that doesn't surprise me in the slightest, actually.
No, I just had an idea.
I'm really curious where you're going
So
with
the
this. 'cause
next
someone
time
just said-
someone paints Nazi on a wall, I'm just going to
put the first parts of my name.
First parts of your last name, ESKE. His name is literally spelled. He's Jewish. Pastor Michael is Jewish.
Yeah,
He's
so
my
I
second
don't know how you
favorite
feel
Jew.
about that whole Gaza Israel thing, but you might know my stance now.
And so his last name is Eskenazi, Eskenazi.
Yes, and I meant Hamas. Sorry, not Gaza, even
So
though
he
that's
has
involved.
the word Nazi in his last name. Which
Yeah, but then all you're doing, there's like none in Lincoln, so all you're doing is like, who did this? Let's look up the one guy. Anyway,
Eskenazi.
yeah, that doesn't surprise me in the slightest because a lot of people are calling churches super spreaders. We got threats. We got hate mail.
During COVID.
Electronic mail messages during COVID because at a certain point we started meeting when more information came out. And that was at the time where the big rhetoric of really, what do they call it? Legacy media was if you're going to church, you are a super spreader.
Super spreader.
Yeah. So that doesn't surprise me.
Nope. What do you got?
What do I got? I got in February 2024. Okay, we're going back almost a year. A woman with a history of mental illness opened fire in Lakewood Church in Texas. She was killed by law enforcement / security. She brought her 7-year-old son. I remember this.
Yep.
She brought her 7-year-old son with her, who was shot in the head from the gunfire. Gosh.
In the head?
Yeah, in the head. He survived. None of the congregation was severely injured, but he survived.
So his own mother accidentally shot him, or
No,
security?
it just says shot in the head from the gunfire. So I'm assuming that it was probably crossfire between security and her.
But she brought her.
But she brought her
7-year-old
7-year-old son. Okay, I know that. I vaguely recall that. Do you remember? Like, what was her deal? Do you remember that?
I don't remember what it.
She lost a divorce. She lost custody. Okay, so she lost a custody battle in a divorce. Was the husband going to that church? Huh.
And wasn't
That'd be great
it,
to find
Mr.
out.
Producer, wasn't it during a Hispanic service?
Yes, that
Yeah.
was true. Yeah, that I do remember. Gosh, it's amazing to me how people, and here, I'll say this to you. I'll say this to you directly. Don't ever associate people and their behavior with how God behaves.
Correct.
Because this woman comes in, she lost a custody battle with her husband, and she came and shot at the church. What did the church do to you?
Yeah.
Well, the church did nothing to you. And a lot of people will go, well, Robert Morris acted this way. Oh, the church, Catholic church molested kids and did this. And, I lost a custody battle and that my husband goes to this church. God has nothing to do with that. And the church is full of people that were, before they gave their lives to Christ, hopefully, were living a different lifestyle, and they still need they need God, they need Jesus, so they go into a church to hear more about him and to learn from him, or to learn about him, to learn from him from the Bible. They learn how to fellowship. A lot of people learn just basic life skills from other people in the church. I mean, we have that here. But don't associate the people in the church with, if somebody did something wrong, don't think everyone in the church agrees with that person. Like, we don't know what people do outside of here. We don't know if we have some kind of like, salesman who's stiffing people somehow, or if we have somebody who works in the city city building, county building, and they're doing something wrong. We don't know. And so if someone from our church or from any church does wrong by you, don't think the entire church or the pastors approve of what that person is doing. They may not know. It's really sad.
I know it is sad.
But
How you get lumped in with things.
yeah, no kidding. That's happened several times actually with us.
All right, last one.
Gosh, a 7-year-old kid.
Wow. You ready for this one? You haven't seen these, have you?
I told you, no.
I haven't either.
I don't know. None.
Pastors. Are you sure about this, Mr. Producer?
All around the
Pastors
world.
from
Daft Punk,
around the world and across the globe. Well,
have a tax.
embezzled.
Okay. We're going. This is accumulatory.
Yeah, this is around the world.
Wait. What's embezzled? What's embezzled? They don't.
Embezzled,
They might not know.
stolen.
Thank you.
Pastors from around the world and across the globe have stolen how much money from the church of their church funds in 2023. Take a guess. Pastor, did you look at that? Did you see this? Pastors from around the world
Okay. First,
and across the
I'm
globe.
going to say it's either going to be millions or billions. I'm going to say millions.
How
Am
much?
I in that? No, I know, but am I in the right category to get the million part right?
No.
Dang. Okay, then it's billions.
Yes. No, you want
I'm
to
gonna
play
say
this game between 1
2.3.
and 100.
2.3.
Higher.
What?
Yes.
Dang.
Higher.
Double digits or no?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I'll give you two more guesses before I
23. 23 billion.
Higher.
That's sad. 75 billion.
Thankfully lower.
Okay.
62 billion
Wow.
of church funds in 2023. In 2024, it's estimated that there was $84 billion embezzled.
Here's the question at hand. Is this because they were arrested?
Ask Mr. Producer.
Do we know how we got this information?
It's from an article.
Articles.
Said the 62 billion was 6.6% of all funds given.
That I believe. For those of you who don't know what he's saying, the 62 billion of the funds embezzled in 2023 is only 6.6% of what was given, which actually would make sense because if we're talking pastors from around the world, this is probably a very blanket statement. And we know the Vatican City's got money, man. They got history of money, and
they
so
have
if Catholic
gold.
Churches is included in this, then this makes sense. Because I'm going to tell you right now,
And if cults are included in that.
well, governments probably seize their funds once they all die. But, there's a lot of stingy people in the church, but at the same time, there are some, you really kind of have these very opposite ends where you have people who hold on tight to their wallets because they don't think that, their funds should be given to the church, that it's their money. But then you have these others who are very generous. And the Catholic Church, it's like, that's also a way. It's in a lot of different Catholic Church understandings, depending on what kind of Catholic you are, that you can actually give to get certain things like getting people out of purgatory. Certain people you can give, and you'll receive some kind of special recognition. There are some different things attached to giving when it comes to the Catholic Church. So if that does include the Catholic Church, that makes a lot of sense.
It's still mind blowing.
That is ridiculous amount of money, though.
I mean, even million would be mind blowing, but this is billion.
Well, you would think that, so, you know, when you give to a church,
Yep.
you are
give
hoping
to it.
and believing that church will use that money to help the poor,
Mm-hmm.
clothe the needy, bless those who are less fortunate,
Pay their bills,
pay their
pay
bills,
their salaries,
all that stuff. Like there are normal things. There are normal things that you expect
Build
the
new
church to do it.
buildings.
Yeah. There, and then there's the charitable aspects, but that is a lot of money.
it's a lot of money.
I mean, how do you think they got there? Like, do you think they were arrested? What do you think? Do you think it was found out and then
I
reported?
think some of them were found out. Yeah. Obviously.
Well, I mean, how do you think they were found out? Do you think they were found out by the pastor? Because there's like the Robert Morris
pastors
thing, right?
did.
Well, the Robert Morris thing. Like we have a board.
I think their
they figured that
accountant
out.
found out.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Like, just, you know, what would you think?
I don't know how the governments outside the United States work though, as far as churches and churches,
Like the books and
monetary
everything?
accounts. Yeah, I don't know how they work that. So,
I think it's kind of
I have no
anarchy in
guide.
some places, right?
oh yeah,
Like, for
I'm
sure.
sure. But if you're the head of your own church and you're embezzling $3 million a year, how's anybody going to find that out?
Well, that goes back to like, do you have a board, an elder board, a deacon? Do you have a CPA? Like, what do you have? You know, that structure. But that's a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah, because as you know, we are in a building program ourselves, and we are looking for $7 million. So if you're watching and you like us,
We don't. Here you go. We don't embezzle like some people do.
we
Give
embezzle
today.
like others
Gosh,
do.
we should
That
do the
sounds
Sarah
bad.
McLaughlin thing. Okay, I don't know Sarah McLaughlin's music. You're going to know this in a second. But she does these commercials, and they drive me crazy because it's like all these dogs, and all these dogs are starving, and it's like, give now.
Oh.
And it's like, if you don't have a heart, you just like you can't
don't
watch
give,
that
you don't have a
commercial.
heart.
Yeah, the way that they depict that, it's like all these dogs, and then you see a commercial like 10 minutes later, and it's starving people, and it's like it tugs at your heartstrings. But maybe we should do something like that, like with churches. Like, we don't give to the Catholic Church because, or we don't take your money and give it, or we don't take your money and go on cruise ships. We don't take your money and do this. We'll take your money and
That's
give
for
to the
sure, 'cause-
poor.
Yeah, well, we all know how frugal we are.
Can I give one thing? Can I give one thing?
Go ahead.
We did the math once. Ready?
Okay.
So there's one thing. Here, I'll be nice. Pastor
Really?
Mike is very generous. Okay. He's very generous in terms of helping people, stewarding God's money, which is a nice Christianese way of saying he doesn't embezzle.
Because
He
of the
uses that money.
fear of God.
Because he uses that money to bless people. He uses it how it's supposed to be used according to the Bible. Now,
Missions.
yeah,
et
and
cetera.
point is, there's some things with. I mean, Pastor grew up with less means than he has now, and praise the Lord. Yeah, I'm being nice, but yes, he grew up a little bit poor
with a
And,
handicapped mother.
Yeah, we're talking, accounting for water and
Absentee
things of that
dad,
nature, like just stuff like that. Some of these practices have made it past the years to where he still practices some of these today, and I accommodate these because I'm a man under his authority. One of those is
frugality.
trash bags.
Oh boy.
He likes to be frugal with trash bags. Now, what do I mean by that? I've made an executive decision depending on the trash bags, but it means that when I empty out trash or when others may empty out trash, a request is made by Pastor to take the trash bin, however large or small,
Here we go.
with the trash bag inside, and then take the trash, the refuse within the bag, empty it into another bag, but then keep the bag that the refuse was in and put it back.
Unless it's soiled.
Unless
somehow.
it's soiled, but that criteria is very subjective. Very subjective. And so There was one time
Oh, boy.
that we calculated how much money we were
I've
saving.
loosened up on that. I'll just tell you. I've loosened
hands
up
down,
on that.
hands down.
Okay,
But
good.
this was done for years, and I did it. I was like, you know what? It's no big deal. I'll just do it. Jonah, do you remember what that calculation was? We saved by doing that, by dumping trash into one trash
Not
bag and
just
keeping the
dumping the whole
bag.
bag.
Not
If-
just dumping the whole bag, keeping the bag where it was and dumping the trash out. Do you remember what it was?
I think it was like between $20 and $60 a year.
We were saving $20 to $60 a year.
By
a year,
golly.
and
Another mouth to feed on the mission field.
do you know how many meals I could have had with that? Probably 6, maybe 7. I mean, come on. That's how you get a new
Let's
building
not
right
make
there.
this about me.
But yes, there are ways to be good stewards of God's money. And now you know if you do that with your bags, it's not gonna get you on vacation.
Yeah, there's probably people going, yeah, what's wrong with that?
Leave that in the comments, would you? If you do that, I want to know how many. I want to know how many of you do that.
What's wrong with that? Why waste a bag?
Just shut off lights. Just be Batman in your house.
We do shut off lights.
Oh, every guy shuts off lights. I mean, I shut off lights.
It's funny because my youngest son, when he got married, I heard him say, this is like last year, all I do is go around the house, shut off lights. When he would be the one to leave them on in my house.
See, what's funny is if my wife is out with the kids and I'm home, which is very rare, she'll come home and she'll go, why are there no lights on? And I go, because I'm Batman. I'll literally be sitting in a room doing something. There's not a light on the house. She's like, I don't understand it. I don't understand. You don't even have the front light on. Why waste it?
Well, if these guys wouldn't embezzle so much money, we could leave the
Exactly.
lights on.
Let's blame them for why we all have to save money in this economy.
Anyway, take us home there, Batman.
All right. Well, thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Please like and subscribe. Email us if you too save with your hefty bags.
Or shutting lights off.
Or shut lights. We're going to get a lot more on shutting lights off. I guarantee you. And thermostats. That's what guys are. Yeah, thermostats? Yes, that's right. Thermostats and lights. But yes, email us at asktwomikes@gmail.com. If you have any comments, please leave them. We would love to hear it. But yeah, if you have any information on this this billion thing, how that was attained, I'd love to hear that too. But either
And
way.
if there's a topic that you would like us to cover, I'm not saying we will, but please submit it. We'd be interested to know what those are.
Yeah, if you want to hear how young and old, Jew, Gentile, 2 pastors who
Long hair,
agree on
short hair.
doctrine,
That's right.
if you want us to give a take on something that you're interested in hearing about, we'd love to hear from you. So please, yeah, comment, subscribe, like, and like. Let us know.
Share.
Thank you for watching. We appreciate you.
Love you.